Hi, Monica here with King's Titan Homestead. And yesterday when I was running errands, I picked up the newest edition of Mother Earth News magazine. And the April-May 2021 issue is what this one is. And the reason why I got all excited about it, and I said, oh, I'm gonna read this and then talk about how it applies to Southern Arizona, because right here, fill your hive for free. Oh yeah, that's gonna get a lot of people's attention because bees are expensive. So basically, build a Bee Vac. So without even getting into the construction of the Bee Vac, let's talk about first why I like to do reviews on YouTube videos, reviews on magazine articles, reviews on books. Is because Southern Arizona has a couple of different things that we have to take into consideration for our region. And that's why whenever you're reading an article or something, even though it might have some good information in it, not all of it is going to apply to us here in Southern Arizona. We have to deal with Africanized bees, and we have an extremely dry, unpredictable, I'm going to use the word unpredictable a lot here. We have a very weird climate. So, and we never know what Mother Nature's going to give us. So, like one year, it'll be feast for the bees, and then we might have famine for like 3-4 years. And so, basically, we have all these ups and downs. So we don't put our bees, we don't overwinter, we don't winterize them, because our bees are out trying to forage during the winter dearth, because the temperatures are, over 55 during the day. So we have all these special things that we have to take into consideration, and so that's why I do these different reviews. So to get back to your freebies, just how free are these freebies? So first of all, I always like to look at who's writing the article. And so at the end of the article, it usually tells you who the person was that authored it. And so this is a Carol J. Alexander, and I did look her up on the internet, and she is a freelance writer specializing in self-sustainability, and which is all good. Not from Southern Arizona, not even from the South, I don't think. I think I looked up her area code and her I think that she's from the Shenandoah Valley, maybe Ohio, Virginia. I'm not quite sure. I didn't do a whole lot of research into her location. I just figured out that she's applying her skills gathering bees in an area that have a high likelihood to be a European genetic background. So that already, boom, doesn't apply to us. But that doesn't mean that the average person reading this is going to understand that. So this book was, this magazine is sold everywhere where there's Africanized bees as well. And there is no disclaimer saying that you could run into a swarm, even, not just a hive where they're protecting their resources and their baby bees, but even swarms in this area can be highly unpredictable, extremely defensive, and have a possibility of actually harming people, animals, all these things you have to take into consideration. So just to throw out this article and say, here, this is how you get free bees. If you're in Southern Arizona or any other part of an area that your region is known to have Africanized hybrids as your feral stock, and you're new to beekeeping, this isn't recommended. And I'm not just saying that. Some people will go, it's because you sell bees, Monica, or it's because you sell queens, Monica. That's why you're pushing the European stock. No, it's because I've met Africanized bees, and they have an extremely unpredictable behavior. And when I'm saying that, like, I'm going to use some examples. One time I was doing a bee removal. It was a swarm. So basically what they were talking about here, they were just hanging in a mulberry tree. It was a swarm. I get there and it's not a swarm. These bees had built comb inside the hollow and were overhanging on the outside and had more comb. So it was established hive, established inside the mulberry tree and on the exterior as an open air. So it overfilled its void that it started in and was just adding on. And the homeowners were like, it's such a gentle hive. It's no, you know, we walk past, it's right next to their swimming pool. And they're like, we don't have any problems with it. And I'm like, ah. So I'm doing the removal with my vacuum, and uh-oh. Sounds like I better check something. Okay, sorry about that. My dogs were going off. So basically, I was doing this removal, and I was using my Bee Vac, and they were just, I'm suited up, but they were just standing there watching me, and I'm like, be careful. These bees could, you know, go off at any minute. And they're like, oh no, they've always been nice. They've always been nice. And they would not listen to me. They would not seek cover while I was doing the removal. And the bees were nice. I was shocked. I'm like, made a liar out of me. That's just not, okay, you know. So I brought the bees back to my apiary, and I was like pretty impressed. I mean, it was a nice hive. And I was like, this is pretty cool. And they're, you know, survival stock and, you know, really good bees. And I'm just like, you know, nice brood pattern. I'm like, I might keep this queen. 2 weeks later, I went into it and they tried to kill me. I mean, literally, I had 50, 75 stings on my gloves, and they were trying to get into my veil. They were, you know, the kind that you need to wear your steel underwear when you go to work them. And then the next time I went out to visit them, they were nice again. Then they were nice again. And then then another day they were explosion. And that explosion where they send out, you know, thousands of bees at you versus just 5 or 6 mean ones or something. This is the stuff that we have to be very careful of. And it doesn't happen just with an established hive. It happens with swarms as well. This one gentleman called me, and he was just new. He's not new into beekeeping, but new into keeping bees in southern Arizona. And he had a swarm, and he says, I'd like to catch this swarm and keep it. And he said, you know, can you help me? Well, he didn't have a really good suit, and his suit was a really very low quality one, so it was very thin, and he didn't wear, you know, a lot of clothes underneath it. And I told him, you know, these bees can be extremely unpredictable. And he said, oh no, this is just a swarm. I've heard everybody says swarms are gentle, they have nothing to protect. And I'm like, you know, no, I've done this before. And every now and then, in fact, I would probably say I haven't done my exact research and actually figured out the exact percentage, but I would say probably 1 in 20 swarms that I encounter are extremely defensive. This is a swarm, no comb, no reason to be nasty, but they are. And you hear about this and you experience this when you've been around it for a long time. So when you have somebody out there going, here, this is how you get free bees, this can get some people into trouble. This can cause some people to have some serious safety issues. Number one, containment. When you have a very defensive, unpredictable swarm that once you start even using a Bee Vac on and they take to the air, they can attack things up to 200 yards away. They will follow you. They will just not give up. They will be relentless. They are not forgiving. They will basically attack anything and everything. It doesn't have to be an established hive. I don't know how many times I have to say this. Are you listening? There's so many people that get put into the paper. You know, you hear about them in the news. You know, man attempts do-it-yourself removal out of backyard in Yuma, Arizona. Gets put in the hospital. I all I would like to do is to see people be safe. And if you want to, as a beginning beekeeper, if you want to catch swarms, at least get some experience in beekeeping before you do that. I'm sorry. It's a big, big issue. Do not do cutouts in Southern Arizona until you know what you're doing. Because if you just read this article and if you're walking away with the know-how of how to build your Bee Vac, let's get into the hive removal supplies that she mentions. Basically, it says here, once all the bees are safe in your vacuum, locate the comb. No. No, 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 no. This is where some people that are beginners, they sit there and they're sitting there sucking up all the guard bees, sucking up the guard bees, getting the bees, getting the bees, getting the bees. You're there forever, by the way, trying to get all the bees that are coming out. And by the time there's no bees coming out, guess what's happened? The queen and a small cluster of her protectors and walked away the opposite direction. They ran under the eaves into another location. They went from the shed where you're working on them to an opposite end of the shed floor. They got away, and then they can reestablish. These are issues that I see all the time when I'm called in to fix somebody's work that didn't know what they were doing. And the homeowners by now are pretty upset because not only did somebody come in and promise that they did the removal, but then the homeowners were left with angry lost bees with no home and a hive that was getting reestablished again from another location, and they had to call in somebody else. This is all why we only recommend people with experience in these regions work with the Africanized bees. If you have no experience with Africanized bees, you really have no business doing a bee removal. Catching swarms is the same thing. It really, really depends. If you know, somebody will go, oh, I just saw the swarm is in my lemon tree. I'm gonna call a hobbyist and come get the swarm. And you get there and you go, oh yeah, it's easy to grab. It's right there. And you are about to take it out. And then you realize you're doing it during daylight hours and there's comb. This thing's been there a while. The other thing you don't understand is how can you tell how long the swarm has been there? Do you know if it's a laying workers when you see comb? How experienced are you to know that if you have laying workers, then you know that you don't have a queen, where otherwise you get that swarm home and you're looking through it and you're like, I don't have the queen. Where's the queen? Maybe there wasn't a queen. There are so many reasons why these kind of things should be left to people that have a little bit of experience first, because the big thing is to get the queen and to make sure that you hold her down. That's the other thing. These feral Africanized bees don't like to stay in the box. So you might go, okay, I did it. I went and I got bees. These are my free bees. Now you get them home, and now what? You have to put them into a box. If you don't do all of the song and dance that's required in order to hold a hive down and to make them happy so that they don't want to leave you, you will leave them, and then they'll be just moved to another part of a different neighborhood. So basically, if you are in an urban environment and you want to become a beekeeper, catching swarms is a no in any area that has Africanized bees. It's not for a beginner. Once you got maybe a year or two under your belt and you've worked with the European stock lines, you ordered in a nuke, or you have a mentor that can assist you with these kind of things, then maybe you can start catching swarms. But to start out with it just right off, this is not recommended. This is actually quite dangerous. Safety and containment is rule number 1, and it's not even mentioned in here. So would I recommend this article? Yeah, read the article. But don't think because you're a beginning beekeeper that this is a way to get freebies. this is a way to get yourself in way over your head, because Africanized bees can build very quickly, and they sometimes are extremely difficult to requeen. And with that being said, it's something left to somebody with more experience. So I like Mother Earth News. I like the older Mother Earth News better. I actually got more information from the older issues of it. The newer ones are a little too fluffy for me, I guess, is what maybe. But it is, you know, an interesting article. It does have a nice how to build your own Bee Vac, but there's quite a few things that are missing from this article that should have been mentioned. So, have a great day.